So we're going to call it the Arctic Hammer 2.0, as I called it a couple of weeks ago. I told you winter is not over just yet. No, it is not. We're getting a reprieve. The January thaw extended, and I thought, this would be a good way to make good use of my time instead of just sitting here. Getting ready to head back into Little Rock here shortly. Uh, Recording this Wednesday morning in the Denver International Airport, and I'll be back in Little Rock a little bit later on today. But I thought it'd be a good opportunity to make good use of my time and show you the pattern as it evolves, especially mid to late month. We're going to go below average, but I have questions. How long? What's the duration of the cold air? And to what magnitude? Are we going to see it like what we did in January? Is it going to get down to 1 degree again? Well, that's going to be very difficult to do. But I think the key to this is that we're going to see more winter. And I still think we're going to have wintry weather chances in Arkansas. And that may come as early as this weekend for northern Arkansas. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But let's get into the model data right now. And I'm going to start off with the hemispheric view, the 500 millibars, where you see the troughs, you see the ridges, and there's the North Pole, there's the United States, there's Alaska. And I always tell you, it's so important to see what's happening up into Alaska. When you see these oranges and these reds poke up into Alaska, that's ridging. You see the blues and the purples, that's the troughs. But that ridging, when it goes up into Alaska, that cold air that builds up there, it's got to go somewhere, and it gets shoved towards the south. So this is where we are right now, and I'm using the GFS ensembles. But this is this weekend. You're starting to see some of that, but you still got a trough out here towards the Aleutians. But there's a trough coming out of the western United States, and that's going to bring some stormy weather to Arkansas, I think, for the weekend. And again, on the backside, you can't rule out some wintry weather with that. We have to look more in depth as we get closer to that. So this is the 12th of February, so next Monday. But watch what happens after that. Remember I said if you are a cold weather lover, Mother Nature may deliver a special Valentine's Day gift. Well, this is the morning of February 14th. There's the Alaskan Ridge, and it's got to go somewhere. There's the trough, the corresponding trough. That cold air gets shoved towards the south. Look what's happening in the Pacific. There's Hawaii. You see the active storm track cutting underneath. So you get the moisture interacting with the cold air, and that's why I think there will be some wintry weather possibilities down the road. This is a setup that you look at and alarm bells go off. You think, okay, here we go, winter weather. That's going to be a possibility. So there's the ridge going up through Alaska and northwestern areas of Canada, delivering the cold air. This is the 15th. Look at this. You may see this at the bottom of your screen, the Baja, California. Let's watch. It's awfully suppressed, which you would expect in this situation. But there's something coming through here just after the 15th. There's the 18th, and there's the 19th. So we'll have to watch something in that time period. But boy, look at all these reds and oranges across the polar areas in the Arctic. When you see that, that means the cold air has been pushed away. It is being dislodged. It's going to the lower latitudes, the United States. It's going off all the way down towards the Gulf Coast. And then you get that active storm track. So this is winter. This is a very cold pattern developing. Here's the question, though. How long does it last? Because now the models, when you get towards the 23rd, kind of lift that area of high pressure, cuts it off, and moves it back towards Siberia. And when that, the flow can start to produce some Pacific air rather than Arctic air. But at the same time, look at this ridge. This is your negative Arctic North Atlantic Oscillation, the negative Arctic Oscillation doing its work and possibly keeping that cold air coming towards the south. So I still have some question marks as to how long the coldest air sticks around. All right, let me back up here with the, these are 500 millibar temperature anomalies. Not 500, 850 millibars, so just off the surface at about 5,000 feet. And this tells me where the cold air is coming from and where it's going. So this weekend, you see the cold air coming at us from the west. That's Monday. Look at the warmer temperatures across Alaska, northern Canada. Whenever you see the above average temperatures there, that's when you see that ridge going up and the cold air gets dislodged. And there it is right there. So that's February 15th. You see how warm it is up there? That cold air has got to go somewhere. Well below average temperatures for much of the Rocky Mountains eastward. So much of the country engulfed with the winter's chill once again. And that continues, I think, at least through the 17th, 18th, 19th. I mean, look at that. Look how cold it is. But look how the cold air starts to build back up here into Canada. So this is, you don't typically see Alaska go below average and it stay below average in Arkansas. So I have some questions as to the duration of it. It could be wrong. The ridge could just continue to just keep cranking, and we'll have to see subsequent computer model runs. So here's the North Atlantic Oscillation. Look at the green line here. This is the zero line throughout time. So this is now. This is the 23rd of the month. Look at that green line staying below the zero line. That means we have a negative Arctic Oscillation. I call it the trifecta of cold. You have to have the North Atlantic, the Eastern Pacific Oscillation, and the Arctic Oscillation all negative. And when you have all those negative, cold's coming. All right, so the North Atlantic Oscillation, you see that green line staying below the zero line for at least a couple of weeks. Same thing with the Arctic Oscillation. You see that? It stays below that zero line. Then we look at the Eastern Pacific Oscillation, and this is where the question mark comes into place. You see it's above that zero line through the weekend. That's why we're not cold now. But you see how that dips down here? That's the cold coming next week. But then it starts to rise, and by the, let's see, this has got it on the, I'm trying to look at the dates here. It's so small, but it's way down the road. But it's, let's see, in a week and a half, 2 weeks, it gets close to zero. Let's see if that's right. There's quite a bit of spread and model uncertainty with that. And if it does trend a little bit further towards this, below that zero line, that means the cold air stays in place. But it does trend back below that zero line, so it does keep that cold air at least coming back. If it does leave, it does have it coming back. So I want to sum all this up. There's a lot going on with this weather pattern, I know. But this is what I'm looking at here. Cold air comes back this weekend. Not extreme, but it gets colder. Then I think after that, that's when the Arctic air comes back, especially right around Valentine's Day. How long does that cold air stick around? What's the duration of that cold air? Typically, when we get that in Arkansas, it lasts a week to 10 days. Then you see a rapid warm up. You remember what happened in January? We got to 1 degree, and then a couple weeks later, it went up to 75. That's what typically happens. I'm not saying that that's going to happen again, but that's what we typically see. So will we see those temperatures rebound and then another shot of Arctic air? Is that what the models are trying to tell us? That it gets real cold, it relaxes, and then some more colder air comes in. So there's uncertainty about the duration. The magnitude, boy, it's going to be hard to outdo what happened in January. That's going to be very difficult to happen twice in one winter in Arkansas. You never say never, but that would be, the chances of that I think are low. I still think that the chances are there for very cold air, wintry weather that's still on the table. A lot of times we think, okay, February 2021. Folks, if we ever see that again, that would be historic times 10. Because that in itself was a once-in-a-lifetime sort of thing. If that happened again, which I don't think it is, that's even just wow if that were to happen again. Right now, I don't see that. All right, so I've talked now for 8 minutes. That's good because I have a layover here. I'm going to be boarding here soon and coming back to Arkansas. And as I've been telling you, just be patient. There's a lot of great things happening. There have been great things happening. I have found myself over the past several months in just a great situation. And I'm so thrilled, very, very happy. And I promise you, you will hear everything. And I will tell you everything, what's been going on. I promise you, and it was all planned. Okay, this isn't all about this. None of this was by accident. So it's all happening just as it's supposed to happen. You always, what they say in football, trust the process. And that's what I've been doing. Trust the process and good things happen. Thank you for your loyalty and thank you for your trust.